Welcome into Locked On Phillies. I'm your host, Connor Thomas. A big performance out of the Phillies down in Clearwater today against the Tigers. We'll talk about it. The top 8 moments. We're into the final 4. The first matchup, tips off, kicks off, first pitch, whatever you want to call it, is today. And also, we'll start to preview the Oakland A's, the Phillies opening day matchup. So much to get into on this episode of Locked On Phillies.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What a great day for the Philadelphia Phillies. And we'll have to temper the expectations a little bit. First, let me, of course, introduce myself. I'm your host, Connor Thomas. Been talking Phillies baseball for years over at 97.5 The Fanatic. Played a little college ball, a little bit of ball after school in a semi-pro league. And I want to thank you for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And we should absolutely be your first listen every day if the Phillies are going to play like this all season. The Phillies took on the Detroit Tigers down in spring training. They're getting ready to wrap up down there in Clearwater, head back up north to Citizens Bank Park as they prepare for opening day Friday against the Oakland Athletics. We'll talk about that in our later segment and get everything all squared away there as we get ready for opening day. But man, we got to talk about what the Philadelphia Phillies did today. And I know I've warned you multiple times. Spring training doesn't matter. The guys are working on stuff and the numbers are fake. And you can see guys that they seem better. And we'll talk about one of those guys. But really, we don't know until they actually start playing regular season baseball. You just get inklings of like, hey, this guy looks vastly improved. Hey, this guy looks like he's added this pitch or is doing this or has figured this out with his swing or changed his stance a little bit. It's all fun. But really, ultimately, more often than not, spring training is fugazi. All that really matters is what happens in the regular season. We've seen it plenty of times where guys have had a great spring and just showed up and did not produce over the course of the regular season. And we've seen the opposite. Guys that we don't hear about them as much when they have a bad spring because we want to talk about the positives. When they have a bad spring training and come out, just have a fine year. No reason to be alarmed. Well, today, for a minute, I'm going to suspend those rules to get really, really excited about what the Philadelphia Phillies did today. It was just, the wind was even blowing in, and the Phillies put up 8 on the Detroit Tigers, which just, listen to this. Kyle Schwarber, just an absolute mashed bomb home run that may have gone into the street, onto the highway outside of the ballpark down there in Clearwater, outside of, I believe it's Baycare Park down there, and put it on what looked to be onto the highway in right field. That had to have been 420 plus, if I'm just estimating. It was an absolute nuke. It's great to see him just mash the baseball. Bryce Harper was what our friends over at NBC Sports Philadelphia, when they broadcasted the game, they gave him the player of the game honors. All he did was go 3 for 4, 3 RBIs, 2 home runs, 2 runs scored himself on each of those home runs. It's awesome. He added in a double there. And then what I am most excited about, Mickey Moniak had 2 home runs on the day to add to his spring training total of 5 so far. 3 at-bats, went 2 for 3, 3 RBIs himself, 2 runs scored, obviously, on both those home runs. He's batting .310 down there in spring training. So first of all, I just it's so much fun watching this Philadelphia Phillies lineup go to work because they were interviewing Joe Girardi because in spring training, they pop the headset on, the cans on, and they talk to the announcers, Tom McCarthy and John Krug. They had Mickey Moniak on today. They had Bryce Harper on today. They had Joe Girardi on today. And Girardi can't even get through 2 sentences without someone else mashing a baseball somewhere. Not all of them went out, but Bryce Harper's second home run was during that interview with Joe Girardi going on. This lineup's unbelievable, and it's only going to get better as it gets more settled in. I was speechless today, and I actually sent a text message to a couple people. Obviously joking. We'll see how it plays out, but Philadelphia Phillies 2022 World Series champs. It's one of those early games, and this is very early. It's spring ball. But you watch it, and you're like, okay, this is a damn baseball team. This isn't last year where it's like, okay, they got some pieces. No, this is a team, and they're still in a stacked division. And the NL is still tough with the Dodgers lurking out there out west and a tough NL West. We'll see what the Giants are. We'll see what the Padres are without Fernando Tatis. But all that aside, the Phillies are going to be competitive this year. They're going to be good, real good. I just can't wait for opening day. I can't wait for Friday. It cannot come soon enough. And that brings me to my next point about today's action. Who's going to be playing center field on opening day? Because now, well, we've just had a wrench thrown in this whole thing. This has changed around so much. Last year, it was the opposite of this. You went ahead and Odubel was going to come back at some point, but he wasn't quite there. You kind of had that inkling that the organization was thinking about bringing him back, even from the get-go. But it was like the Hazley show and Roman Quinn and Mickey Moniak was an option, and none of it worked out. And then Odubel Herrera ends up getting it by default. Scott Kingery doesn't work out. Like, just no one could hold down that position last year. This is the opposite. Odubel Herrera's injury has opened the door for a couple guys who look like they can be really serviceable out there in center. And it's almost not an embarrassment of riches because Mickey Moniak still needs to produce at the major league level. Matt Vierling still needs to produce at the major league level more than what we saw last year from him in his first stint in the majors. So they've got to step up still. They've got to do this during the actual season. But, man, they both look great. Vierling just, like, I remember later in the game, just laced a single the other way. Just great piece of hitting. He's got great bat control. His swing path seems to be improved. And we'll have to see it against major league pitching on a regular season game day. But he looks good, too. So who's in center field? Honestly, right now, and I liked Matt Vierling, and I've told you multiple times on this podcast that I think Matt Vierling is going to be the opening day starter in center field. Am I switching my vote? Yeah, I am. I'm flipping over to Team Mickey Moniak. And I'll tell you honestly, because I don't know that I've ever said this on air over 97.5 The Fanatic. I don't know if I've really expressed this here on Locked On Phillies yet. Not a Mickey Moniak fan. I do not think that I've seen anything prior to the spring training that has given me an inkling that he's going to be fine at the major league level. Not worthy of the number one overall pick, like fine to even play. Didn't even think he was a serviceable option in the outfield this year. And he's shown up and he's proving me absolutely wrong. And that's great. That's a great thing. I love when players who I doubt prove me wrong because it means that the team's going to be better. We should all love that. Vierling, though, has not done anything to lose his inside track, what Joe Girardi called it a week ago, or about saying that it seems like it's Matt Vierling's, like he's got the advantage to the position. So it was kind of the sentiment that Girardi expressed. Well, Mickey Moniak deserves a lot of look. And the reason I'm switching over is because of that pedigree Moniak has. He was drafted 1-1 as a high school player. It takes these guys time to develop sometimes. And maybe this is the breakthrough year. He seems like thicker, pause, but no, he does. Like he seems bulkier. He seems like wider. He looks more like, not that he didn't look like a professional athlete, but he looks like he's put work in this offseason to take advantage of an opportunity that he thought he may get. And he very well could get it from the jump in 2022. And when you spend that number one overall pick on Moniak, sometimes even down the line, even though he's been up a couple times, you feel yourself pressured to give that guy the opportunity over a guy like Matt Vierling, who's not that high profile of a prospect as Moniak was. So that's part of what weighs into it. And here's the thing. They're going to platoon. It won't be like Mickey Moniak everyday center fielder. Matt Vierling, Mickey Moniak will be a platoon, and they'll fight to get playing time for when Odubel Herrera does come back and becomes healthy. You know what I would love to see? Because I've told you how I feel about Odubel Herrera. I would love to see one of those two or both of them play well enough that the Phillies just do not play Odubel Herrera when he comes back. Put him on the bench. He'd be a great bat to have coming off the bench. And that's fine. But have one of these younger guys seize an opportunity. And right now, both of them doing well in spring. But, man, just got to give props to Mickey Moniak, whose swing looks vastly improved. His confidence seems way up compared to what it was last year. Just frankly, looks like a different ball player. And sometimes that happens for these younger guys. I can't wait to watch him and the rest of this powerful lineup as the Phillies get going into the 2022 season. We're, 6 days away? Friday. Wait, 5 days. I can't even do math right now. 5 or 6 days, however you count them. If you're counting today, 6. Otherwise, 5 days away from opening day of Phillies baseball. It's going to be awesome. But we're just still finishing out our final four for the top 8 moments in Philadelphia Phillies history. We'll set the first matchup as we come back. Of course, you know I got to tell you about our friends. I want to call them our best friends over there at BetOnline because they give us all these great odds. There's no better place for the sports gambling information and figuring out those odds because BetOnline.net, they're your number one source for all of that. Betting needs, sports info, find all the latest sports developments, including this week's Masters Championship odds. Is Tiger going to golf? We got to find out. Check out BetOnline. It's going to be awesome. There's podcasts for different leagues this season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports betting information. It's got live betting, esports, scores, everything. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Okay, so for our first matchup of the Final Four, for our top 8 moments in Philadelphia Phillies history, we're going to go with the World Series in 1980 versus Roy Halladay's playoff no-hitter against the Cincinnati Reds in 2010. That's going to be the matchup. We're going to put that out on the Twitter poll, along with the off-the-poll question, which is going to be a shorter one this weekend. Had a little bit of technical difficulties on Friday and Saturday. I apologize, but we'll get that question out there and squared away. I will talk about that as well in the last segment. But excuse me, got a frog in my throat. I got so excited about all the home runs the Phillies were hitting today. Got a little choked up there. That's going to be me all season. It's going to be awesome. Also, we're going to go ahead and have our second matchup of the Final Four go out on tomorrow's episode, which is going to be the matchup between the 08 World Series against, what was the other one? The Shane Victorino Grand Slam against CC Sabathia in the 2008 NLDS. So we'll have those matchups for you, the one today, the one tomorrow, the off the poll segment as well, which I will tell you about in the final segment. And we'll have that matchup, and then this will all be concluded. I want this all to be done by Tuesday because we've got a very special NL East roundtable that's going to take up our shows Wednesday and Thursday. I'm going to be putting them out as we go ahead and preview everything leading up to opening day that you're going to look for the division. So friends over at Locked On, friends. They are friendly. They're great guys. It's an awesome roundtable. It's great information. You're going to love them. But I laugh at friends because, of course, they're division rivals. I'm not rooting for Mets or Braves or Marlins or Nationals, but the great guys over at Locked On Mets, Locked On Nationals, Locked On Braves, and Locked On Marlins. We all got together, and you'll be able to hear that Wednesday and Thursday, the entirety of our roundtable and what we put together for your preview of the NL East. And speaking of other Locked On opportunities to listen, I want to thank you again for making Locked On Phillies your first listen. Now I want you to make your second listen. Locked On MLB Prospects. And not now, obviously, when we're done. But go check out Locked On MLB Prospects with Lindsey Crosby. He's awesome. He knows everything about these young guys. He could probably have told you. And I think he did when we did our crossover, if I remember correctly. Probably could have let you know, hey, Mickey Moniak might be in for a big year. And you would have seen this coming. And we wouldn't all be surprised. He's great with that type of stuff. He takes a deep dive on all those stars and tomorrow. So go ahead and check out, Locked On MLB Prospects with Lindsey Crosby. It's awesome. This is the, around the league segment part of this. Because with Off the Poll coming up, we're going to jump into the Oakland A's stuff now. This is not Locked On Athletics. And I'll have to reach out to the host of Locked On Athletics and see if we can get a little crossover for you guys before the Phillies and the A's match up. But, the A's not great right now. If I'm going to step into Locked On A's mode and do this from their perspective, it is get us to September so the season can be over. And then, I don't know, fire who you need to in the front office, sell the team. I don't know what their strategy is out there in Oakland, but they already had a really, really, really disheartening offseason for their fans. They spent a grand total of zero. I got to get that right for the camera. Spatial awareness, not good. $0 in free agency this year. Didn't spend any money. Let guys walk, move guys. And you look at it, and I was talking with somebody I was out at the bar watching the UNC Duke Final Four game last night, watching Coach K's last game as a coach. And I was talking with someone saying, oh, well, yeah, the A's didn't spend any money, but you still got to go through Moniak, and that's going to be tough. And their pitching could be interesting. Well, today they go ahead and trade Sean Manaea to – who did they trade to? I got to go ahead and look that up. But they move him. So now their payroll, with him gone, is down to $33 million. So the last time the A's led the league in payroll, I believe, was in 1991, and they had $33 million. That was that team right before the Moneyball. like the precursor to that team, I believe, where it was like the Barry and that team that the movie got made about. Well, they have that same payroll today, and it's possibly going to be the lowest in baseball if there's a couple ancillary moves coming. They're fighting with the Baltimore Orioles for that one. So now the A's have sold off their best pitcher right like a week before opening day. They've gotten rid of everybody. They traded Matt Olson to the Braves. Like everything's gone out there in Oakland. So it's hard to see a team with so many new pieces come out and expect them to sweep the first week of the season or the first series of the season. Like it's hard to come out and expect that opening series sweep. But you kind of have to in this instance, right? The A's have been a story of the offseason for how little they've done to try and make their team good. The Phillies have been a story of the offseason for how good they've made their team. Go out, have the pitchers shove, and take advantage of this Oakland A's roster that really does not have all that much talent on it anymore. This should be 2 out of 3, no doubt. I'm not setting off alarms if they lose 2 out of 3 to the A's in the first series of the year, but they shouldn't. They should absolutely be able to take care of business at home against Oakland, and we should have a really fun first series for Phillies fans down there at Citizens Bank Park. I'll be out there on Friday, first day using the press credential to go ahead and check everything out, so I'll be in the press box, probably be milling around the park a little bit, so if you see me, feel free to come by and say hi. Got to give a shout out to my buddy Brandon, who bartends at Garage in Philadelphia, up in Fishtown. He listens on 97.5 The Fanatic, and he checks out Locked on Philly. So thank you. I'd love to meet more of you guys out there to go ahead and say what's up and just enjoy some Phillies baseball. So that'll be fun, but it's going to be a great opening series for the Phillies. At least it should. I'm calling my shot now. It's going to be because the A's are just devoid of talent. And the other thing that's nice that we saw today that we can look at for the preview. One opening day starter, or the presumed opening day starter for Oakland, gets moved, and the other opening day starter, Aaron Nola, goes out and does this. And I didn't even mention it in the first segment because I was so hyped up about the hitting, even as a former pitcher. I love the hitting, and that's why his team's going to be so exciting. But Nola goes out. Listen to this for his final appearance before his opening day start. Went 5 1/3 innings, 1 hit, 1 run, 1 earned run. So that's it, just on a homer there. 9 strikeouts, 9 Ks in 5 1/3. That's just like, that's vintage Aaron Nola. That's what we saw in 2018. And it was just the confidence building performance that maybe not he needed because he believes in himself. I'm sure he has to. You've got to get to that level. But the fans needed to see, to be like, okay, he might be this guy again in 2022. Now, we said it about the reactions of spring training, and it's like you throw it all out the window. If it's bad, you ignore it. If it's good, it's absolutely going to continue. So it's a double standard, but what are you going to do? We're human. It happens. I'm just very excited about what I saw from Aaron Nola today in his final work before his opening day start against Oakland. He looked dominant. He had his stuff working. He had the K-pitch working. He had his breaker working. He had everything. So if that's the Aaron Nola we get for the majority of 2022, that's going to be awesome. And it's going to be great to start off the season against Oakland with that type of arm out there if he does perform. So that was a packed segment. We went through top 8 moments, final 4. We went through a preview of the season. We talked about Aaron Nola, preview of the first series, by the way, and talked about some programming notes. What could top that? Well, we still got Off the Poll coming. So in just a second, as we wrap up, I'm going to tell you about what Off the Poll is for this weekend, or rather just this night, because we'll get into it in tomorrow's episode. A quick turnaround, still a very important poll, so I'll go ahead and put that out. I'll tell you what that is and what we're going to discuss on Monday's episode. I've actually got some inside information for you guys. I think I know why the Phillies are hitting the ball so far this year. They got to be trying Built Bar. You guys have heard me talk about Built Bar, right? It's an awesome protein bar. And you got to get ready. You got to get strong to be a strong fan of a strong baseball team. The best way to do that, get some of those protein bars in your system. And listen to this. You don't like the regular protein bars? Well, they do protein-infused marshmallows. You ever heard of that before? No, you haven't, because they just started doing it. It's the Puffs. Some great flavors, cinnamony, churro, oh man, coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie. That's so great. If you just like the regular protein bars too, they've got those. Listen to some of these flavors. Oh, white chocolate cookies and cream. That's great. Probably tastes like a milkshake. I've had the mint brownie. That one's my favorite. I love a little bit of mint and it tastes good. And you've got 17 grams of protein in those. It's awesome. because at Built Bar, they're all about the taste. They make it taste delicious, and then they figure out how to make it healthy. And I don't know how, but they pull it off every single time. So what I want you to do is go to built.com. You can use promo code LOCK15 and get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at built.com. So this week's Off the Poll is a simple one, but a lot of great people have said the KISS method is the way to do things. Keep it simple, stupid. And I'm on here because I played a little bit of baseball and I know a little bit of baseball and I know the Phillies inside and out. But hey, there's people out there that may call me the last letter of that one, stupid. Sometimes that's fine. I know, critics, Twitter, YouTube, you know how it is. But I like to keep things simple for that reason. Makes everyone's life easier, gives you better content, I think. I'm not trying to go like crazy as far as like stuff that's over the top, hard to produce or anything like that. Like I'm giving you guys good content, just good, simple Phillies content, in depth, but nothing too crazy. That's why sometimes you got to take the low hanging fruit. And this Off the Poll is an easy one to pick. We talked about it in the first segment. It's probably the biggest question when it comes to the Philadelphia Phillies going into opening day, and it'll get us primed up as we head into the week of opening day. Simple question, two choices as always. Who will start in center field on opening day for your Philadelphia Phillies? Will it be Mickey Moniak? Will it be Matt Vierling? Very easy, and I told you where I stand now. I'm a fan of Mickey Moniak's and what he's done this spring, but I'm not a total fan of him as a player yet. I've got to see more at the major league level and see what he does there. So we'll have to go ahead and see how that progresses. We're going to have some more to talk about tomorrow as far as what the numbers look like and what he's done in his time in the major leagues versus what Matt Vierling's done in his time in the major leagues. So I'll look through those numbers and also look at your responses. And hey, maybe you can convince me otherwise that Mickey Moniak should not be the opening day starter. I don't know where you're going to go. That's the beautiful thing about Off the Poll. By the way, Off the Poll, just for people who are not aware of what the segment is, normally Friday, but had a little technical difficulty. So this is the last episode for last week's programming. Every last episode of the week, we're going to put out a poll question. Get it off the poll. We put it on our Twitter account at LO_Phillies, and I retweet it always from mine at Connor Thomas 975. So you can find that at either of those. You should be following both of those accounts. Some great Phillies content from my personal account and also from over at the Locked On Phillies account. So check those out. And then you respond. And on Monday, we do the back half. It's like a dual segment. It's like a mirror. There's two sides to it. I guess, are there two sides to a mirror? I always do this. I get in these side thoughts. But there's a second side that we do on Monday's episode where I respond to what you voted in the poll, and I either try and justify your opinion, agree with you, or completely disagree with what you said and say, wow, I don't know why people voted that way. I completely feel the opposite. But hey, maybe you guys convince me. If it's like 90% to 10% in favor of Matt Vierling, then I don't know. Maybe you guys are seeing something I'm not. I'm very interested in this one, though, because Joe Girardi has an interesting decision to make as the Phillies prepare for opening day. It's going to be fun to watch how this lineup shakes out because unlike last year, we talked about it, the center field position is not all that important because there's so many other strong bats in this lineup. So it's just enough fun, like who gets to go in there and get some swings and gets to progress a little bit as a young player. So I'll get your thoughts on that in this week's Off the Poll. That's all we've got for today. So I want to thank you for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Now I want you to make your second listen, Locked On MLB. Paul Francis Sullivan, make sure you call him Sully. He knows everything there is to know about the MLB league-wide. I tried to do that little Locked On A's type of, I tried to get into character as like a Locked On A's host or an A's fan. Like Sully can do that for any team. He can do that for any player. He knows the past. He might even know the future. I don't know. He can do it all. So it's very possible. Go ahead and check out Sully on Locked On MLB. Make that your second listen. And I want to thank you for listening, subscribing to the YouTube, the reviews, and everything like that. Everything's been great. Everything's been rolling in. Really appreciate that. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're following on Twitter. Make sure you're rating 5 stars and reviewing on the podcast. Helps me get better reviews, to get better content out to you, because I'll get better opportunities with those better ratings. You're helping yourself as much as you're helping me, because it just makes Locked On Phillies even better for all of us to enjoy. So I appreciate the continued support, And folks, this is the week where it really gets fun. We are heading into the first week of regular season baseball for the 2022 season. We've made it through a long and tumultuous offseason. So starting tomorrow, it's go time. Monday of opening day week. I can't wait to spend it with you. That's all we've got for today. Thank you for listening to Locked On Phillies, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.